we were recently invited to appear on a podcast called Justifying the F Word. Now, the F word in this podcast stands for 40s and 50s, and it's all about people in their 40s and 50s who are making the best of those years of their lives, and it was really fun and a great experience for us.
Yeah, it was a nice long episode, about an hour long, but we don't really get into the financial nuts and bolts. Rather, we talk about retirees who are also making the rest of their life the best of their life. You know, we've finished every video in the last year and a half saying that exact same thing, that you can make the rest of your life the best of your life. So in this podcast, we give a lot of examples of clients we've worked with and others that we know who are really enjoying retirement and really making a difference and really living life to their fullest in retirement, and give you some tips on how you can too. So if you got some extra time, we encourage you to give it a listen. And if you have any comments or suggestions, we'd love to hear them in the comment section below.
So keep listening for tips on how you can make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Welcome to Justifying the F Word, everybody, where it's a party nonstop in your 40s and 50s.
Yeah, every week it's a party.
I don't know if it's a party or if it's unsolicited advice.
All of the above.
All of the above. It's all the things, or as our daughter would say when she gets mad at us, I almost used all the words.
All the words, yeah.
What are the words?
All of them.
All of them.
All the words.
Wow, you're a regular dictionary tonight, Brown. Way to go. Super, super excited about today. Today we have our first phone interview, and really could not be more excited about that. You've heard us talk in past episodes about my great friend, Corey Hicker, and his sweet wife, Amber, and they are going to be on today. So I have known Corey for well over 20 some odd years.
You just aged yourself, but yeah, keep going.
Yes, and I've known Amber for about over 20 years as well. So really excited to have them both on. They come with a myriad of experience of financial planning as well as lifestyle planning. So with no further ado, well, actually one further ado, Corey is the only one who has the prestigious title of being the only person in this world that has been yanked off a bus at gunpoint along with me and knelt down execution style and had guns put to the back of our heads.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that happens on a South American bus. All sorts of fun.
Memories.
Memories. All right. Well, Corey and Amber, welcome to Justifying the F Word.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, as you mentioned, we go back quite a bit. We should also date stamp when that episode on the bus occurred. It was not in our 40s and 50s. So that was a while back for sure. But yeah, so we're out here. We're calling in from Minnesota, the frozen tundra. The thermostat says it's 0 degrees outside. So,
Which is actually balmy because it was a lot colder than that earlier today.
Sounds amazing.
Sounds exciting.
So yeah, we're out here doing financial planning for retirees for the most part.
I love it. Well, and the neatest thing about what Corey and Amber do is they take a much broader approach than just financial planning. And really what we want to talk about today, and in fact, I'm going to let Megan drop it like it's hot here and introduce the episode.
Yeah, so today the episode is called Making the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. And this is actually this is your guys' slogan, right?
Yeah, this is their mantra.
It is.
Yeah.
And well, Corey and Amber, why don't you guys give us an overview, like a bird's eye view of what this means?
So we like to talk about this with our clients, with our financial planning and retirement clients, because a lot of people look at retirement planning as just the money, right? Just the financial stuff. But we like to make it more than that, bigger than that. We want it to be about, a lifestyle. We want it to be about living your dreams and living your best life and doing what is important to you in retirement.
Yeah, we really focus on helping people realize what they're retiring to as opposed to what they're retiring from.
Well, I find that fascinating because really there's a grip load of financial planners, right? There's nothing novel about stocks. There's nothing novel about planning for your retirement. But your lifestyle approach is really what I think differentiates you guys from the rest of the pack, and it's different than anything else I've ever seen. Really, what made you guys come to this conclusion?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of people out there who just want to talk about the money aspect. But what we realized is that the best solutions come when you understand someone's goals. What are they hoping to accomplish when they retire? What are they, that bucket list item, and then work backwards, right? Most of those things require some money. A lot of them do. So once we know what someone wants to accomplish, then we can work backwards and figure out, okay, how much is this going to cost? How much do we have to save for that? And then we take great pride in helping them achieve those goals and get reports back on how retirement is treating them.
So why do you feel that you're so passionate about this? I mean, what's the spark?
Amber and I were talking about that. I got a bachelor's degree in finance. That's kind of boring. I did corporate accounting for a decade or so. And it wasn't fulfilling. And this is a way we like helping people. And so when we sit down with someone who maybe doesn't know exactly where they're going to be after retirement, we walk through that. We have a series of questions we ask. We find out their goals and dreams, and then we help them accomplish that. I mean, that's really fulfilling. That's a lot of fun. That adds real value to our lives in addition to our clients' lives. It's fulfilling to us.
It's actually really fun, too, to get to know people who are in that category nearing retirement. They've lived a lot of life. They have a lot of wisdom. They've learned a lot of things. And I feel like we learn as much from them as they do from us in a lot of cases, just about living and about life.
I absolutely love that, because what you guys are doing is you guys are adding a hope to those of us that are part of the F Word Nation.
Is this like on Star Wars?
This is a new hope.
A new hope.
Yeah.
It is. It's the new hope that one day we shall live,
But I think the best part about this is you guys, your slogan is making the rest of your life the best of your life. And I think if you were to look at it from a popular point of view, you would assume that would mean that once you hit your 40s, 50s, that best part of your life's over. Mm-hmm. So tell me how that has clicked with your clients. Like, how has that been something that's registered with them? Or is that a mindset that you've had to teach?
It depends on the individual. Some people are really excited and some people don't. Some people just know they want to be done working or they want to quit this job. And retirement is so much more than that. Like, no, the rest of your life could be the best of your life. There's so many opportunities. You could, like Amber said, all this wisdom, all this knowledge, you can give back to the community. You can change someone's life. Don't just say you're going to be done working and not do anything. And so, so many people's self-worth is tied to their job title or their job position. And so they retire and they lose that senior vice president or CEO title. And now they feel like there's nothing left. And it's just on the downhill slide. And so we talk to them, no, there's so much more to retirement than this. It's not you are not your job. There's so much more to you than your title.
It's great because there are a lot of mental health issues that you don't think about that retirees go through for that very reason. They realize that they have lost this big part of their life. They've spent decades and decades being this person, and now they don't have that anymore as part of their identity. And so to be able to have a plan of not just how you are going to financially survive retirement, but what you're going to do to make it a great part of your life, I think really helps people with that mental health and who might be struggling with a little bit of depression, post-retirement blues, have actually some purpose and find joy in their later years.
Man, you guys are bringing up some insanely solid points. Corey, would your title be the guy who started the dumpster fire at our apartment with hot coals?
That depends. The statute of limitations have probably passed. That's not a title on my business card.
I was going to say, now you guys can talk about that openly. We tell our kids this all the time. We're like, you guys live in this generation where you can't do anything, because there's cameras. So
yeah, it's all over social media, and the dumpster fire's on it, and they're running down and knocking on my door.
Someone's recording it on their camera, right?
Or someone's recording it on a podcast.
Yeah,
I really should look into trademarking that term, dumpster fire. I mean, everyone uses that term, right? I think we invented that. It's an actual dumpster fire.
We may have.
Okay, so Corey and Amber, what made you guys want to focus on lifestyle as part of your financial planning service. Like, you're very obviously passionate about this, and to kind of make that leap from just about money to more about lifestyle.
Money is so stuffy. It's kind of, it's not very exciting, but what money can do, that's exciting, right?
Buy shoes?
Buy shoes if that's your thing. Yeah. We have clients that dreamed for years to, go on an African safari. They did it, right? I mean, that's exciting. So the money part is the boring part. Just having a pile of money is not exciting. What are you going to do with that? How are you going to impact your life, your neighbor's life, your family's lives? How are you going to impact the community? That's exciting stuff. And that's what gets us out of bed in the morning is, helping people achieve these goals. The money is necessary for a lot of those, but as we talk about, it's not. Some people just really want to help out and spend more time with their grandkids or help us, a child who's struggling. And that doesn't take a lot of money. They can just be there and they want more time for that. But understanding and helping people realize what they're trying to accomplish with their own lives, their own self-worth, that's a lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. That's inspiring, man.
I love it. Well, as part of dropping a title and as part of, as Amber mentioned, dealing with some mental issues, I think a huge factor, and Corey, you and I have talked about this at length just in phone calls, that a lot of people maybe don't consider as part of their retirement plan really has to do with, you want stable money, right? Obviously, you're riskier with your investments when you're younger. You get more conservative as you get older. But the same thing should go with your relationship with your significant other that you're retiring with. Does
that mean I'm with you?
I think so.
Just kidding.
But Corey and Amber, you guys have talked about, we've had many a good couch conversation when you guys have been out visiting about the difference between mom, dad time, friend, family time, as well as husband, wife time. Can you guys please explain why this is so important and why it's critical? But first off, Megan has something she wants to interject.
I was going to say, so if you haven't listened to Marriage Insurance, that will make...
Yeah, our episode Marriage Insurance, which is episode 2.
Is it 2?
It's 2.
2,
yeah.
Yeah, so go back and we that's where we introduce Holker. But go back, it's going to break down all those categories a little bit more and then carry on.
Yeah.
My wayward son.
So can you guys talk about why it's so important, getting your relationship basically solid as you get closer to retirement years?
So actually for us, this is interesting. We actually have a third category there because we have mom and dad time, right? Family time with our kids. We have couple time, the two of us, and then we have business partner time.
That's
and
so hot.
We have to make sure those three things don't always bleed into each other, right? When we have couple time, there's always that tendency to, let's talk business. And no, let's not. Let's have couple time. Or let's talk about the kids when we're having couple time. No, let's not. This is couple time. And so those are just distinctions that are important to us because we love to do things with our kids and we love to spend time with them, but it's just as important to strengthen our relationship because actually when we retire, the kids will be gone. And it will be the two of us.
We hope. They better be.
I was like, please, for all things holy.
That's the idea anyway.
I plan on downsizing so they can't come back. Amber does not agree with that plan.
I was going to say, what is it like you, Holker, you love the tiny house. What is it?
Yeah, tiny houses.
Tiny houses.
Oh, yeah. The two of us could easily live in a tiny house. I would keep the kids away, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's going to be a no. A hard no on that one.
But, I mean, you got to understand, Corey loves talking about the tiny houses. I've never met another human as passionate about tiny houses as Corey.
Well, and Corey is he's a buff individual, so I could see him knocking over a lot of things off shelves as he walks through the tiny house. But Corey, why don't you expound a little bit? I know we touched on this in our podcast on marriage insurance, but why don't you expound on basically what can happen over time if you're not paying into that husband-wife relationship queue and what you're left with and what you see with some of your clients?
Well, particularly for married people who have children, life seems to be all about the kids. We got to drive the kids here, get them there. We're going to, so-and-so's game and so-and-so's game, dance recital. And like Amber said, you go to dinner and all I want to talk about is the kids. And they grow apart, right? They don't know each other, and suddenly the kids are gone. And they've kind of grown apart because they didn't take time to spend together. And now they're sitting here maybe just 5 or 8 years out from retirement, and that being alone in the house with this stranger is almost scary. Like, do I really want to go the next 30 plus years, just the two of us without the kids as a buffer? And so, we have seen some clients that we've had clients that actually divorced and then remarried each other, and all sorts of interesting things that happen when focus is not on the relationship, but on other things like your career or the children.
And how have you guys made sure, like because obviously you guys passionate about this, have all your different categories, but how do you guys practice this in your life? Like, what would be your advice to someone that would come to you?
So I feel like a lot of times you'll have a husband or a wife that they have different interests, and the wife will say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. And the husband will say the same thing. Well, first of all, do you know you don't like that? You don't want to do that together? You know you don't enjoy that? You've tried it?
I believe it was Shakira on Zootopia who said, try anything. The large gazelle.
There you go.
Okay.
I feel like you quote that movie way too much.
Well, I'm just saying
it's Shakira. It's okay.
It's Shakira.
Fine, right?
It's. I think we can all learn from that message, Megan, of the large gazelle, that we should try everything.
Absolutely. And you know what? You might try something and find out that you don't like it. Corey is a big hockey fan. He's from Minnesota. I'm from Georgia. Hockey is not really a thing in Georgia. And I wanted to support him in his enjoyment of hockey. So I went to a hockey game with him and I cheered and I had really a great time. But guess what? I still don't really like hockey. I don't get it. I can't follow the puck. I love football. I love other sports. Hockey, I can't follow. And so that's one that I checked off my list. He's tried salsa dancing with me. Not something that he loved or would have thought to try, but he tried it. But the other thing I would say is, if you've kind of tried each other's different hobbies and you can't find anything you like, try something new together. We tried a few years ago?
Curling.
We tried curling, and it was really fun. I never even considered doing it before, and we actually both really loved it. So find something that you love to do together that maybe neither of you have ever thought of.
I love that. And please say that there's video of Corey salsa dancing.
Oh, no. I would never have talked him into it.
Because I feel like that would be an instant, like, YouTube, like, yes.
We should add that to our YouTube channel, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Corey. Yeah. So I love that is great advice of just being open to try different things and to relearn each other.
Well, I think, along those lines with what you guys are talking about is being open to it. People change, obviously taste change, things you want to do, but being closed off is going to do nothing more than close the other person off, which that doesn't get you anywhere.
Well, and I look at it too of before we had kids, when Quinn and I dated
BC before kids?
Yeah, BC. Before we had kids, Quinn played in a band and gigged how many nights? 4 or 5 nights a week. Right. So, I mean, it was kind of this crazy lifestyle. And then before we had kids, we lived in Vegas and I did marketing, and we went to every show in Vegas, kind of that whole. And now, I look at it where now we're, our kids are getting a little bit older. I'm like, I want to go sit at dinner and have a good conversation, or that. It's not anywhere the same as when we were courting. When Quinn came a courting. Yeah. It's totally different. And I'm the same person, but my interest of what I want to do, not saying that I wouldn't go watch Quinn's gig, but we're not doing that night after night like we were when we were dating.
So Corey and Amber, obviously, we've talked about the strength of a relationship and how that affects your retirement years. But how does this also help with getting on the same page as far as financial planning goes?
Well, like Amber mentioned, finding things to do together is something. In retirement, you have a lot of free time and you spend a lot of time, hopefully, with your spouse if you're married. And so, courting again or dating again before retirement and kind of getting used to being with one another again is a lot of help. But as Amber said, too, it could be a strength. I try things that she wants to try. She tries things, and that's what friends and partners do. And if you can do that in retirement, you're going to be much happier. The rest of your life will be much happier. You don't have to worry about, driving the kids all around. You don't have to worry about getting up early to get to work on time or closing that deal or traveling for your job. You can just spend time with someone that you really enjoy being around.
Well, with that being said, if you enjoy being around the person and you're on the same page, have you seen it with your clients that it's easier for them to both agree to the same things financially? Like as far as putting things away or making, solvent decisions?
Yeah, I could say, you could say that, I think. I haven't looked at it that way before, but we definitely have clients that are on opposite ends, right? Where we have clients where one wants to retire to a cabin in the woods and she wants to retire on a beach in Florida. So, the closer you get together, surely that would help financially to tackle the same goal as opposed to opposing goals or multiple goals. So yeah, that could be helpful. Absolutely.
And if you feel that, if you had a client come to that you guys met with and they are getting closer to retirement and they say, hey, we've grown apart. How can you help people get on track? Because I'm sure a lot of listeners are like, yeah, I don't really know my spouse, or we're not close anymore. And is this a lost cause? What would be any advice you would give?
Remember, we give financial advice, not marriage counseling.
No, you're a marriage counselor at this point.
But one of the things, that I'd suggest is start before retirement, okay? The kids are out of the house, hopefully. You're going to retire in the next few years. Start to work on, like Amber said, find those things that you want to do together. Try new things together, and try to find some common ground before you retire. And, one of the things that we really work on, like I said, is trying to figure out what's at the core. What does someone really value? And a lot of times, maybe the superficial activities or favorite sports are different, but deep down, they usually both want the same thing. They want to take care of their family. They want to add to the community and things like that. And so maybe we have to go a little deeper. Hey, is there an organization that you can both agree to volunteer at? Is that a way to get started? But definitely try that before you retire. And if it takes a little bit longer and you delay retirement a little bit until you are comfortable doing that together, that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you just turn into a stoner? Yeah, bro.
Let me have another sip of my BCAs over here.
What's happening?
Well, if I understand you correctly, Corey, I think all of this boils down to having a purpose.
Yeah. So when we've talked about this in the past, you have said, are you retiring for something or to something? Like you said that at the beginning. What do you mean? Can you give us just kind of a deeper meaning to that?
So I'll give you an example, Megan. We have a very good friend who worked in corporate America for decades. That was her career.
Fortune 500 company,
office job. And that's what she did until she was 66. And when she retired, she wasn't actually ready to be done working. And so she did what we call the hybrid retirement, where she actually decided to do something that she was passionate about, that she could get paid for on her own terms. And so she went out and she got licensed as an esthetician. She's in her 70s now, and she's still doing facials, and she loves it. She makes her own schedule, and it's very flexible, but she can still earn a little money and still do something that she's passionate about that she actually didn't have time to do when she worked in corporate America. And so that is retiring to something else that she loves. And in this case, it's actually still making money, but that's not always the case. It's just retiring to something else that will bring you joy and purpose, and that you might enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually going to do a YouTube video with her on our channel coming up very quickly about making the rest of your life the best way. She's doing that, right? She went from a corporate job, putting in the hours, punching the clock, to now really, again, adding value to people's lives. She gets to meet a lot of great people. She works a couple of days a week, not really, again, not for the money, but because she loves it. And that was her purpose. She just wanted to do something fun while she still had the energy and the health to do that. since she put all those years in, all those decades into the corporate job. She wanted something more to her life than to go out just being the corporate person.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. And very inspirational. So it's funny, because I don't really consider myself that old. My kids do.
They sure do.
Yes, they do.
But
you're older than me, by
yes,
the way.
I
You
am
are the oldest one here.
Yes, I am older than you by a few months. But I will say, ever since we've kind of started going down this road and talking about it, I've been asking a lot of people in our same age bracket, just, hey, what are your plans? And there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. And
I will say almost too, it's interesting to sit down. I mean, we're not financial planners. We're not in this, field, but we've had a lot of discussions because we have been really excited for this episode to have you guys on. And it's interesting to watch both couple, like you take a couple and you ask them kind of like, hey, what do you guys want to do when you retire? And they're like, one person will say something and the person looks at them like,
say what?
Like, we're not doing that. And almost like we're like, we started abort, because it's like they, I think that they both had a complete idea of what it would be and not really communicating it at all.
Well, and I think there's a huge desire. I mean, there's a huge push, and it's all the way from when you start working to put enough money away.
Right.
But what ends up happening is people say to themselves, I might like to do this, I might like to do that, and then retirement comes and nothing happens, or that doesn't get put into place. So Corey and Amber, oh, sorry.
Well, Megan. I was going to say, and I think too, just like Amber talks about, of having purpose, it, might not need to be staying working, but this story is amazing. And I mean, I was retired for 10 weeks, guys, 10 weeks. And I will say it was hard because I did not, obviously my purpose was to heal, but I took away all purpose. And Quinn even said with me going back to work this week, just 3-4 days a week, he's like, you're a whole different person because I have purpose of like, hey, I'm going to get out of bed. I have this. Okay, now I'm more scheduled throughout my day. And I feel like I'm not waking up going, I have nothing to do but to watch TV.
Well, yeah. And I can allude to my father when he retired. He was not intentional with his time.
He found himself a little comfy seat in that recliner. Yeah.
But he sure never missed Sean Hannity. So Corey, can you, when we were talking, you mentioned about being very specific and very intentional. And you guys brought up, for example, the African safari, as opposed to saying, hey, I want to travel, as opposed to saying, I just want to travel. You said, I want to do an African safari. Can you talk about this, kind of the importance of being more intentional and specific with your plans?
Yeah, being specific gives us a real goal that we can obtain. And people say, I want to travel. What does that mean? Does that mean, in this, for one couple, means, no, we want to go on an African safari within 6 months of retiring. And we want to go for 10 days. And we want to go here, here, and here. And we knew that years in advance. Another couple, same thing. They wanted to travel. What does that mean? They're not going to travel to Europe, South America, Asia. No. They wanted to travel the United States. So they sold their home and bought a travel trailer and traveled the United States. They were very specific. As soon as they retired, that was their first thing they wanted to check off their bucket list. And so when you have these very specific goals or aspirations or even dreams, we'll call them, it gives you something to look forward to work towards. And also from a financial standpoint, we can put a price on that, right? If you just say, I want to travel a lot, what does that mean? But if you tell me, Corey, when I retire, I want to get a fifth wheel and a 3/4 ton truck, and I want to travel with the U.S. for 3 years before we settle down somewhere in our favorite spot. Well, we can calculate how to budget for that, right? We can start to work backwards and say, okay, now to achieve that, there's a price tag for that. If you just say, I want to travel, that's not very helpful.
No, that is dead on.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's not dialing in your goal, like, or what your focus is together as a couple, for sure.
So what would you say to somebody, Okay, you've obviously expressed that it's critical that you have a purpose. So what would you say to somebody who's coming into your office, sitting down with you or reaching out to you online, because I know you do a lot of online planning, and you ask these questions and they're like, I don't know.
Well, there are a lot of people that don't know what they're retiring to. And so I actually took a really in-depth training that was called values-based planning. And what it does is it starts to ask a series of questions to really uncover what their true values are. So when I start talking to someone about, what are some of your goals? For most people, it starts with kind of themselves. What do they want for themselves? And then we dig deeper and it goes to, okay, I'd like to maybe help my family or, certain individuals or friends. We dig a little deeper and we get down to wanting to add value to the community or God and these type of things. And now we understand the real values, what really motivates these people deep down. And I'll share a story. We had a client come in who was retiring within about 6 months. And I'm going through this series of questions and I finally get down to the bottom. And this gentleman tells me, you know what I think I really would like to do a couple days a week in retirement is volunteer at my grandson's school. And his wife almost falls out of her chair. And she said, you have never told me that before, right? They never even have that deep of a discussion with his spouse. And so now that opens the floodgates, right? Now we know what he really cares about. We know he really cares about his grandchildren and giving back to the community. Now we can focus on that. Now we can build goals around that. And those conversations are enlightening, sometimes even to the spouse. So even if someone says they don't know, the right questions, the right series of questions and promptings can dig deeper, kind of peel back those layers of the onion, as they say.
And you're talking this as a person a few years out from the retirement. What age would you suggest someone come and start? What would be ideal, like your guys' ideal client to come and to prep for retirement?
From a financial standpoint, we'd like to see someone 3 to 5 years out. But Quinn and I have had this conversation before. In life, you need to know where you want to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. And the decisions you make today need to take you a step closer from that. If a decision will put you further away, then that's probably the wrong decision. So financial planning, 3 to 5 years out, we can really start to get a good feel for, can you accomplish these goals? Can you retire earlier than you thought? Do you have to work a little bit longer to accomplish these goals? But even now, for those of us in our 40s and 50s, we can be thinking about what that might look like and start to form a picture to, and have those conversations with our spouse and kind of get on the same page and work together to achieve those goals.
Yeah. And I think it's critical too to, when you're in your 40s and 50s, because we are speaking to the F word nation here, I think it's critical that we don't look at retirement as this thing that is so far off we'll never see, or so detached that it's not going to be part of us, or we'll figure it out when we get there. You think about moving stocks around, you think about the different investments you make, and you're so almost surgical with those, and you place so much value on those, and all of those are setting you up to be intentional and to have that opportunity. But if you don't put that in, then you end up in the recliner watching TV.
Right. And, you don't have to have a lot of money to add value. I volunteered at my son's school for 3 years under the Watchdogs program. And there was a retired janitor, from the school district who came in every single week. He had no kids that went there. He just loved the school and he wanted to give back. He came in every single Friday for years. He didn't have money to go out and travel the world and do all this, but he added real value to a lot of people's lives during his retirement. He retired, in his case, he retired from the same thing and to the same thing. He retired from the school to go right back and give back to the community. But you don't have to have a lot of money to add value and have purpose in retirement.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel value and purpose go hand in hand. What do you think, Megan?
For sure.
So moving on to our next section in this, and this was another healthcare-ism.
Yes.
that he scattered to us that I absolutely loved. And the phrase that Corey and I Corey's one of the few people that can get me up past 10 o'clock talking. And we were having
I like that you look at me like I'm not on that list.
No, you're on that list.
I'm like,
usually if it's past 10 o'clock, we're not talking.
No, so just so you guys understand, Quinn has a hard time staying up past like 7, but like Corey and Quinn were roommates in college, and they would have what they would go on their dates with different girls, and then they would come back and they had pillow chat.
Well, we had to decompress.
Yeah. And I remember you guys telling me this, and I was like, you guys are a bunch of chicks, dude. Like pillow chat.
Well,
and they're like,
and
it's sacred.
When Corey transferred to a different school and I went to a different school, we actually for a while called each other at night to have pillow chat before we went to bed. Just to summarize the day.
It's tough to get a good conversation with a lot of people. So when you find the right guy to have that conversation with, you got to keep them going.
Well, and we both enjoyed cracking the window in wintertime to sleep cold.
Yes.
Which is something I'm not able to practice in my current state. So speaking of practicing.
I feel like that's pointed right at me.
It might be a Norwegian sauna in our house sometimes in the wintertime. I came downstairs the other day and the kids had the blower on the fireplace and the thermostat was like 88 degrees. It was ridiculous.
That was, perfect.
Okay. So getting back on topic here, the wise nugget of wisdom that Corey dropped on me was practice your retirement. And Corey, why don't you expound on what you mean, and Amber too, what you guys mean by practicing your retirement, as well as what you guys are currently doing to practice your retirement.
Well, Quinn, I think that conversation revolved around you saying something about you wanted to be like our client and travel America in your RV. And I said, well, great, go try it out. Right?
Yeah, because I remember we were sitting on the couch and I think it was the three of us. And I said, yeah, we want to, after, when we retire, we want to sell our house or rent it out, and we want to spend a good part of the year like traveling, the other part either like have a condo or a townhouse. That's exactly what you said. Was you're like, well, is it something you like to do? And we're like, we think so. And you're like, well, like you got to practice this.
And honestly, we ended up pulling the trigger within like a month of Corey having that conversation with us. And the fascinating thing about that is by practicing, the first time we took it out, Megan and I looked at each other and said, oh yeah, we could do this. This was crazy fun.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people we know that, cause I tell them my camper dream, like literally guys, if my kids wouldn't kill me, well, I might kill them, but, I would love to pull my kids out of school and go see every historical site in the United States. Like, but my kids, if I ever mention it, are like, no.
Are you saying we could do the Lewis and Clark Trail?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll change all our money to Sacagawea dollars.
No. So sidebar to that, Quinn read Undaunted Courage.
Stephen Ambrose. Yeah. Undaunted Courage. Fantastic book if you haven't read
This was BC, before kids. And this was the time we were broke as a joke. And so I was watching everything in our account, and there was this withdrawal for $50 or $60 because you have to take it 20s. And I was like, what did you take $60 out for? He was like, well, I finished Undaunted Courage and I'm going to support Sacagawea. So I turned $60 into Sacagawea dollars.
Keep the memory alive,
yes,
baby.
and he's like, I'm keeping it alive. And so he like put them in like
they could have never wintered with the Mandan Indians if they didn't have Sacagawea.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short was you put them in my like glove box, like they were everywhere. And he's like, it's going to save your life one day, that Sacagawea. And it really did. One time I almost ran out of gas and I had money because I went in with a Sacagawea dollar.
So Corey and Amber, why don't you guys expand
long story
on practicing your retirement?
So we talk to people about practicing their retirement like you did, or, like the RV story, practice that if it's something you really want to do. But we also talk to people who are, maybe a few years out from retirement, maybe their kids are gone, and they have an idea of what they think they can live off of in retirement. Maybe they think they can retire a year or two early and live off a smaller amount of money. And so what we tell them is, well, try it. Try to live on that budget for 6 months and see how comfortable it is and see if you can do the things that you want to do living on that budget. And so that's a great way to practice retirement, because that gives you a real picture and a good idea of if it is something you can do. And a lot of people say, nope, can't do it. We're going to work another year or 2 years, so that they can make sure that they can have the lifestyle that they want in retirement.
Corey, you told me an incredible story about somebody who failed by not practicing their retirement. Can you tell the camper story?
Yes,
we're a bit on a camper thread.
So I had some clients whose best friend loved to RV. They RV'd almost every weekend. They went all over the state, all over the country. They loved it. They kept telling our clients, you guys are going to love it. You got to do it. So they went out. My client went out, bought a brand new 3/4 ton truck, bought a brand new fifth wheel, towed it down from Minnesota down to Arizona, spent the winter down there, and absolutely hated it. Ended up selling the trailer after one winter. The RV, took a loss on it because they didn't try it out. They didn't go out. They didn't realize all that went into that. They didn't like the way they had to go out and empty their black water tanks, and that was not for them at all. But they were trying to support their friends. And I thought to myself, why don't you go out with your friends a couple of weekends and try it?
You and I talked about, Florida being really appealing, when we retire. Can you give a little snippet on what your plan would be if someone were to do that? What you would recommend to them to do first before they uproot and buy a house and move down there?
Yeah, go down there and spend some time there. Be very intentional. Spend time in different areas. This is something that we're talking about doing, Amber and I. Especially with remote work right now, a lot of people can get away from the office for quite a while. Go down there and get an Airbnb for a month or two and go try different areas. Go during different seasons, right? Everyone loves Florida in the winter. Do you want to live in August? Maybe you need to find that out. You need to go down there in August and see how that feels before you go ahead and plop down $400,000 or $500,000 on a place down there.
And what have you found is so obviously there's couples that aren't on the same page or might be like, okay, what is the best compromise you guys have found if people aren't on the same page, or how do they reach a compromise if people are very opinionated in what they see as their retirement?
Well, I think it depends on how big the issue is. I think it's okay to have different hobbies in retirement. We talked about the guy that wanted to volunteer at the schools and his wife was so shocked. Well, it's okay if he wants to do that and she wants to learn to play tennis, right? You don't have to do everything together in retirement. But there are some things that you have to agree on. Like our friends that he wants to live in the mountains and she wants to live on the beach. Well, you've got to find a compromise, whether it's let's have an RV and spend the winters at the beach and the summers in the mountains, or whatever it is. You have to compromise on the big things, and that might mean trying something new, and let the little things go and let each other still, we all have to have our own things too.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing any excuses? Like when you bring this up to customers, are you seeing any excuses for people not wanting to do this? Is there
the practicing?
Yeah, the practicing.
Like everyone says, time. Oh, I just don't have the time. I don't have the time, or a lot of times they're just not sure what they're supposed to be practicing either, right? They don't know that they might, like you gave the example of moving to Florida. Well, that couple would have identified that they can go down there and practice. Without direction, people don't really even know, right? What should we be doing in retirement? And so searching those things out. But when we have had these conversations, like, why aren't you practicing your retirement? It's that, well, I don't have the time, and look, I'm thinking the kids are out of the house. You should have a little bit more time on your hands to go do these things together and try it out. So time is probably the biggest one. People who are not trying to compromise or try out their retirement.
Mm.
And how are you guys? The two of you, how are you guys practicing your retirement right now?
Well, this is actually something we've been talking a lot about because we are seriously considering Florida. And actually, we had a conversation just today about flying down to Florida at the end of this month, and just looking at a couple of different places and seeing which communities we like and the different prices in different communities, and just kind of getting a feel for things, because you can look on the internet and see house plans and communities, but you can't really get a feel for it unless you're actually there and you
Boots on the ground.
Right. See what restaurants are there and museums and shopping and how close to the beach or whatever. And so it's really something that you can explore a little bit online, but really we need to get down there and take a look. And we want to do that a couple of times over the next few years to really explore where we might want to be.
That's awesome. And I just like to put in my 2 cents here on practicing your retirement is I feel it is critical that you practice being healthy and active now. And if you're looking to be happy and active in the future, you've got to do it now. And I've seen way too many people, including my own father, put this off, ignore it, or say they'll do it once they have time, only to retire and not have, number one, the energy, or so much damage has been done health-wise that they're just not able to enjoy their retirement.
And it's almost watching those dreams like kind of float away a little bit.
Yeah, it's sad where, I think just as much as Corey and Amber have talked about putting steps in to practice what you want to do, I think you need to practice your health, like practice what health do I want when I get to my retirement age.
Yeah, your 40s and 50s are going to set the stage a lot for things. I mean, there's going to be things that are just left field that you're like, oh, wasn't expecting it. But yeah, definitely.
Well, and we talked about kind of 3 phases of retirement, the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. And Quinn, to your point, the healthier you are entering those go-go years, the better your life is going to be. Making the rest of your life the best of your life is going to be very hard if you haven't taken care of yourself and you're just retiring from something and going and sitting on the couch all day watching TV. That's not healthy, and that's not going to be an enjoyable retirement. So again, Megan asked how many years out would we like to talk to people. 3 to 5 years. I'd love to say, guys, are you going back to the gym? Amber mentioned, are you picking up tennis, golf? What are you doing to keep your body active so that when you do have all the time in the world to do what you want, you have the health to also do what you want to do?
That's awesome. Well, I want to jump into another topic, which is a non-traditional retirement. So when we were talking the other day, and actually Amber brought it up at the beginning of the podcast here, is there's a labor shortage, or people get into retirement and say, you know what, I've always kind of wanted to do this. Like that could be sell cars, that could be work at a campground, that could be substitute teach at a school. Can you guys expound on that a little bit, on just not hanging up your hat, putting your hard hat or you're hanging your cowboy hat on the hook and getting off the range?
Yeah, we call it the hybrid retirement. A lot of people are retiring from corporate America, the 9-to-5 grind, but they don't want to just be done working. They still want to do something that's enjoyable. So like our client who does who's the esthetician and goes into the salon a couple days a week. Our neighbor retired from one of the big banks, and when he's not mowing his lawn and taking care of his pool, he goes in a few hours a week at the local hardware store just because it's kind of a neat little store. It likes to talk to people. And so, with the labor shortage, there's a real value to those people who maybe want to retire from their job that they currently have, or their career or industry, but aren't ready to be done working, because that working adds value or purpose to their lives. And so, especially with COVID, we're seeing a lot of these, a lot of vacancies give a lot of people time. I mean, I keep telling Amber, my dream job is to go work at Cabela's because they give you a 40% discount, right? I said my entire side gig check at Cabela's will just go to buy stuff. But that because that's a fun, exciting place to work, and it's a cool store. So we're seeing a lot of that right now. The other thing we're seeing a lot of people, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people retire from their job. They get their 401k and all that, and then guess who calls the very next day? Hey, we need you back. And so I've had a handful of clients that are going back as a consultant, but that's a way better position. They've already got all the retirement accounts in hand. If they have a really bad day at work, they can say, we won't see you tomorrow. So they actually have to be treated really well. They're treated much better than when they had a manager there they had to report to. Now they're the outside experts that get to come in and kind of be in charge. And so we're seeing a lot of that right now. The big difference is they're choosing to work, not that they have to work. They're choosing to do it.
Well, I do think one huge benefit of COVID is that flexibility and the ability for people to really work anywhere. And I've actually seen some people retire early, but do exactly what you said, almost semi-retire where, for example, at the company I work for, we currently have 2 guys that work 3 days a week. And then we have one guy who came out of retirement that he's like, hey, I'm going to take, 2 months off in the summer, but I'm going to work the rest of the year. Or I'll work the winter time. Yeah. And that's,
they can do that now.
And that's an exciting place to be. So
we have a client along those lines who he said, Corey, I'm going to retire. And so I called up and said, hey, you retired this month? No, I'm actually not. And I said, what's going on? He said, well, since COVID, I'm the only guy in the office. And it's really easy. And they're still paying me my full salary. So I'm going to ride this gravy train for a while longer. And he ended up working a whole other year because they were just paying him to do about 1/3 the work. They paid him the same amount of money. So he said, I'm going to keep going. I can do this another year easily. I couldn't do it when the manager was breathing down my neck, but the manager won't come in. He's at home. So, hey, I got it easy.
That's awesome. So you two are constantly putting out new content on YouTube. So first off, tell everyone like where they can find you. And then second, why you decided to go this route, like on YouTube, because you guys are great. You're dynamic together.
Well, everybody likes Amber anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone tells me to get out of the screen. Just look at Amber.
I know Corey when he came out this summer for Quinn's dad's funeral, and he was like, "Yeah, we have this YouTube channel, and everybody's like, can we see more of your wife? Like, she's just we like you, Corey, but we really like Amber." Which,
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah. Well, Amber's very lovable. So we started the YouTube channel right when COVID hit. Because the world shut down and we still needed to be in touch with our clients. And so we said, look, this is a great way for us to reach out weekly. But if you remember back when COVID first hit, they were passing all these stimulus bills. They kept changing the tax laws almost weekly. And so we actually did it as a way to update our clients every single week of what was going on with all this craziness and to also kind of reassure them, no, the sky is not falling. We still can handle this. But then we started attracting other people to our channel who were just trying to learn. And so we've kept it going now, just as, we've been trying to teach people ways to retire. But we're really excited. This year, we're adding a new lifestyle series. So we're going to highlight a lot of these people who are making retirement the best part of their lives. And it won't be talking about all the stuffy money. It'll be talking about the fun lifestyle stuff that people can look forward to and give them ideas on things they might want to try in retirement as well.
So where can people find you guys on YouTube for our listeners?
So you can search on YouTube under New Generation Wealth Management or Corey Hoker or Amber Hoker and find all sorts of videos about retirement and taxes and all kinds of things, investments. And you can also go to workwithnewgen.com to schedule a phone call with us, a 15-minute phone call.
Well, I know you guys live out in Minnesota, but let's say, which, it's not quite Iowa, but it's pretty close, right? So are you guys able to do work for people all over the country?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're registered in several states, and we're able to help most people in most states.
And we actually have clients who live in Minnesota and Florida or Arizona, clients in Utah, and so it really helps to be licensed in many states so that we can help our clients no matter where they live or where they retire to.
Fantastic. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, but we really haven't touched it all on the financial side. And this is, obviously putting it aside your pennies. So you're like Scrooge McDuck when you retire. But what advice would you give someone who's really not, let's say they're in their 40s, let's say they're just joining the F Word Nation, or we have a lot of younger listeners who love the advice of the elders, if you will.
That would be you. You're the oldest on this call. I'm literally, you're the oldest.
What advice would you have for the younger generation that might be listening to this, or people just getting into their 40s that might say they may have a pit in their stomach going, man, this is I haven't started. I'm too late. I'm screwed. What would you say to them?
A couple things. first of all, when you're in your 30s and early 40s, and if you have children, it is hard, right? Children are expensive. And so it is hard to maybe try to fully fund these retirement accounts or the 401k, but it's never too late is the first thing. It's never too late. And anything you can put aside now is going to help. I'm reading another book right now where the author says, look, if you can do $25-$50 a month, at least something to get in the habit of putting something away. And then as the kids move out or costs decrease or you get a salary increase, you can put more. But I talk about the bare minimum. If you have a 401k match at work, put in at least as much in the 401k to get the match as it takes. So if you got to put in 5 to get 5 or get 2.5, whatever it is, put in the max it takes to get the match. If at the bare minimum, you can say you're doing something.
Yeah. So to finish off, we ask, this is our second interview, but we're going to be asking all of those that we interview questions. So this is for both of you answering separately. But so we have 3 questions. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah. You ready, Amber?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question, and this has more to do with the F word nation and a lot of just, justifying the F word.
Well,
is
making the rest of your life the best of your life.
Yes.
As Corey and Amber would say.
Yeah. That's very catchy.
Yeah.
Okay. So first question is, how are you being unapologetically yourself in your 40s and 50s? Like how are you approaching that?
I guess for me, doing these videos is kind of vulnerable for me. Something I've never had to do. I'm not a spotlight person. I don't like everybody staring at me. And so it's uncomfortable for me. And so this is something that I've had to learn to do and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I have to add, and feel good about that. And it's actually helped me, I think, be able to be more comfortable in the spotlight a little bit, but also just with who I am. This is me. What you see is what you get. And that's it.
That's awesome. Love it.
Well, I know Corey doesn't have any problem being unapologetically himself.
Maybe he needs to start being apologetically himself. Just kidding, Corey. We love you.
Right. Yeah.
So I would like to ask you both too, how are you guys adding resistance into your life? You guys talked about, obviously, in retirement, picking up new habits, being healthy, new hobbies. But what are you guys doing to add resistance into your lives?
Well, for me, just starting this journey working with Corey has added resistance. I actually was a stay-at-home mom for years, and getting back into the workforce and getting my insurance license, and I worked on our legal side of the business for a while. That was a big change for me, and I know a lot of women in my place and in my position have a hard time breaking back into the workforce, just because when we've been out for a long time, it's a little bit intimidating. And that was some major resistance for me. And I felt like it was a big victory for me to be able to get my insurance license and to participate in this business that we love and that we're growing and that we do together.
That's huge. That's a whole lot of resistance right there.
Yeah. 17 years out of the workforce, right?
Yeah.
16, yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked in previous episodes about how scary that is, stepping back into the workforce. So how about you, Corey? What resistance in your life?
For me right now, it's the physical side. I'm going back to the gym at 5:30 in the morning. So
Quinn goes at 4:30.
I wake up at 4:30. I'm there by about 5-ish.
Quinn's been my example for decades here. So I have to get my son out the door at 5:30. So I can't really go in that early.
Excuses, Corey.
But there's that, and then also this like Amber mentioned, the building a business is tough, and there are a lot of ups and downs, and just pushing through and reminding yourself, hey, we're here to help people. Quinn, the Unapologetically Yourself, as a financial planner, people choose to hire me. And so, that's resistance every day, putting yourself out there. Is this person going to like me and trust me enough to help them achieve their goals? And that's both, that's resistance, but also I have to be myself, because I'm going to be there with these people for 20 or 30 years, hopefully. So, you got to like me on the front end. You're not going to like me 25 years from now. So putting myself out there on a daily basis is also, it's tough. And that's a lot of resistance as well.
Yeah. And I think part of that too is I love that, you know, this is a long relationship that you develop. And part of being unapologetically yourself is you don't need to be everybody's cup of tea. Like, not everyone, like, be yourself. And then, okay, last question. This is the big one. The big one.
This one's the big one.
Okay, so how are you guys in your life justifying the F word, your 40s and 50s? Well, you guys are in your 40s.
So for me, I actually, when I really think about it, I actually love being in my 40s for one reason. And I have to admit, I have more aches and pains than I had in my 30s and in my 20s. But I love being in my 40s because I feel like I've finally arrived at a place where I don't care what people think, right? I don't worry about if someone's going to mom shame me or anything else. This is me. This is what you get. And you might not like it. Like you said, Megan, I might not be everyone's cup of tea. And that's okay. That used to just make me cringe. I wanted everybody to like me. Well, guess what? You might not like me, and I don't care.
The haters are going to hate.
The haters are going to hate.
Amen,
Okay.
sister. Oh, are you going to sing your song?
Nope.
I was going to say, I feel like that was Quinn's intro to Taylor Swift.
No, I know it came to
A
mind.
hater's going to hate.
But I've gotten all sorts of glares tonight, so I'm just going to keep it to myself over
no
here.
glares. No glares.
Yep, I'm trying to be
I knew you were going there,
unapologetically
Quinn. I knew
myself.
that.
Yeah. Okay, Corey, let's hear it. Justifying the F word.
We're making the rest of our life the best of our life right now by helping others do the same. I mean, that's very fulfilling, very rewarding. Having these relationships with people for years and decades, that adds real value and purpose to my life. I didn't get that in corporate accounting. Okay. So really now in my 40s, that's how I feel. I'm really making the best of it right now, is helping others achieve what they've been working so hard to get.
I absolutely love it. Well, I want to thank both of you guys for being on the podcast today and
You guys
jumping
are
in
awesome.
on justifying the F word. If you guys liked what you heard, I will have links up on our blog website, which is justifyingthefword.com or justifyingthefwordblogspot.com, where you can check out all of the things that Corey and Amber have to offer, as well as all of our past episodes. Please share it, please like it, and please pass it along.
Keep it classy.